You don't own your music. You don't own your movies. In 10 years, you might not own your car. Your house could be something you rent forever. Even the software you use for work, you're just borrowing it on a month-by-month basis. And here's the wildest part. Some people think this is actually a good thing. In 2016, the World Economic Forum posted a video with 8 predictions for 2030. Number 1 on that list? You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. When that came out, people lost their minds. They called it a conspiracy theory. They said it was dystopian fear-mongering. But here's the thing. It's not a prediction anymore. It's already happening. And if you're not paying attention, you're going to wake up one day and realize you spent your entire life making other people rich while you built absolutely nothing. Today, I'm showing you exactly how the ownership trap works, who's getting rich off of it, and why the clock is ticking faster than you think. Because the choice you make in the next few years will determine whether you build real wealth or stay trapped, paying someone else forever. Welcome to Blue Chip Mindset, the winning mindset for success. If you enjoy the video or learned something new, please give it a like. Back in the day, many people bought movies on DVD. They owned them. They could watch them forever. But you're paying Netflix $17.99 a month. Every single month. Over 10 years, that's $2,100, and you don't own a single movie or show. Stop paying, your entire library disappears, because you never owned it. This is the game. And it's not just streaming, it's everything. 20 years ago, ownership was automatic. You bought something, and you owned it. You bought a car, and you drove it until the wheels fell off. You bought a house, and you passed it down to your kids. But then companies realized something. If you own it, they only get paid once. But if you rent it, they get paid forever. So they changed the game. Netflix instead of DVDs, Spotify instead of iTunes, leasing instead of buying, renting instead of owning. And they sold it to you as freedom, as convenience, as the smart, modern way to live. Live light, stay flexible. Don't be weighed down by stuff. Meanwhile, the CEO of Netflix owns 4 homes. The founder of Spotify owns real estate in 3 countries. The people telling you not to own anything? They own everything, and you're the one paying for it. Let's talk about what this actually costs you. Not just money, but wealth. Because there's a massive difference. If you rent an apartment for $1,500 a month, that's $18,000 a year. Over 20 years, that's $360,000 gone. You can't sell your apartment when you're done. You can't borrow against it. You can't pass it down to your kids. You just spent $360,000 building wealth for someone else. Now compare that to buying a house, a $300,000 mortgage. Over 20 years, you've paid down the loan, the house has appreciated, and you've built real equity. Something you own, something worth money. That's wealth. That's the difference between building your future and funding someone else's. And it's not just housing. The average American spends over $250 a month on subscriptions. Streaming services, music apps, software, meal kits, subscription boxes. $250 a month is $3,000 a year. Over 20 years, that's $60,000. If you invested that money in an index fund averaging 10% returns instead, you'd have over $190,000. But you don't, because you watch some shows and listen to some songs and now the money's gone. Nothing to sell, nothing to pass down, just gone. Cars follow the same pattern. Lease a car for $450 a month and you're always making payments. Over 30 years, that's $162,000 and you never own anything. Compare that to buying a $35,000 car, driving it for 10 years, then doing it 2 more times. You'd spend $105,000 total and actually own something you could sell or pass down. The gap between those 2 choices? $57,000. That's the cost of convenience. This is the trap. It doesn't feel like a trap because the monthly payments are small, manageable, affordable, but small payments forever compound into massive wealth transfers from your pocket to theirs. You're not just paying for convenience. You're paying for the privilege of never building equity. Here's what's actually happening. They convinced you this was your idea, that owning things was old-fashioned, that subscriptions were smart, that renting was freedom. When you own a house, you build equity with every payment. When you own a car, you eventually stop making payments. Ownership means the money eventually works for you. But when you rent everything, you're a permanent customer, a monthly revenue stream that never stops. Once they get you on subscriptions and leases, you become a predictable profit machine. BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, has been buying up single-family homes by the thousands. Not to live in, to rent out forever. They're turning entire neighborhoods into permanent rental properties. They don't want you to own a home. They want you to rent from them for the rest of your life. And then your kids can rent from them too. And here's the part that should make you angry. The executives running these companies, the ones telling you that ownership is outdated, they own everything. multiple properties, appreciating assets, generational wealth. They're not renting, you are. But this isn't just about money, it's about power. When you own nothing, you control nothing, and they can change the rules whenever they want. In 2019, Apple removed movies that people had purchased from iTunes. Hundreds of dollars of purchases. Gone. People called support furious. Apple's response? You didn't buy those movies. You licensed them. Read the terms of service. You thought you owned it. You didn't. You rented temporary access. Tesla already charges subscriptions to unlock features in cars that people have already bought. Your car may have heated seats, but if you don't pay the monthly fee, they will remain off. The hardware is there. You just don't have permission to use it. And if you stop paying, the feature disappears. This is the future we're walking into. Your software stops working if you miss a payment. Your entertainment vanishes if a platform shuts down. Your car loses features if you cancel a subscription. Everything you use is controlled by someone else. One price increase, one policy change, one corporate decision, and your access is gone. No recourse, no ownership, no power. And housing? If homeownership becomes something only the wealthy can afford, then everyone else becomes a permanent renter class, always paying, never owning, always one rent increase away from financial disaster. No stability, no equity, no generational wealth to pass down. Owners make the rules, renters follow them. That's not freedom, that's dependence. Now look, subscriptions aren't pure evil in every situation. If you're 23, moving between cities and investing aggressively, renting might make sense temporarily. But subscriptions are expenses, not investments. Renting is a tool, not a strategy. Ownership means capturing the upside, stopping payments eventually, and building something you can leverage or pass down. When you rent everything, someone else captures that upside. You just get the bill, forever. Here's the reality. There's a point of no return, and most people are getting dangerously close. Picture this. You're 38. Your friend who bought a modest house at 26 has just sold it, made $120,000 in equity, used it as a down payment on something bigger. You've been renting the same amount of time. Your rent increased 4 times. You changed apartments twice. Zero equity, zero options, nothing to show for 12 years of payments. By the time you hit 40 without owning anything, the gap becomes nearly permanent. The people with equity have options and freedom. The people still renting everything are trapped, still making the same payments, still building nothing. So here's where this leads. 20 years from now, society will split into 2 distinct groups: those who own assets and those who only rent access to them. The people who own will have equity in their homes, paid off cars, investments that compounded while they worked. They'll have something to borrow against in emergencies, something to sell when opportunities arise, something to pass down to their children. They'll have control over their financial lives and the freedom that comes with it. The people who rent will still be making monthly payments, still dealing with annual rent increases, still one subscription cancellation away from losing access to everything they've been funding for years. They'll have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars over their lifetimes and have nothing to show for it except a long list of canceled subscriptions and expired leases. Only one of those groups builds wealth. Only one has control. Only one is actually free. So here's the question you need to answer. Are you team ownership or team access? Do you think renting everything is the future of freedom or the biggest wealth trap being sold to your generation? Drop your answer in the comments. Please let me know where you stand on this. And if this video has changed how you view your monthly subscriptions, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.